Okay, everybody, the time has come. The time has come, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, first of all, big shout to the brother AB. Met a few weeks ago at a poppin' New Year's Eve party out in Harlem. It's going down. Shout out to Tiffany, by the way. And we was kicking it a little bit, and he told me what he does and what he do, and we clicked heads, and next thing you know, he's like, listen, man, I manage Adina Howard. I'm like, I would love to have her on my show, man. I would absolutely love to have her on my show. So you know what? In 2016, you got to make the dreams impossible. You got to make them possible. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, without further hesitation, she is here, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the sassy, the sexy, Miss Adina Howard. Thank you, ladies. Come on now. All right. I hear you now. Hold on. I got you now. Miss Adina Howard, how you doing, my dear?
I'm better than good, sweetheart. I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm so good. Before I do that, let me just ring off a couple of shots one time. Woo! I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful and so thankful that you're here, my dear. Absolutely. So let's get right to it. I heard AB, he sent me the single. Phenomenal single, by the way. Phenomenal single. Absolutely lovely. And as soon as I heard it, the first thing I said to myself is, okay, she is attacking a new sound right now. She's going a more expanded direction with her music. So right off the bat, your new single, or maybe just in general, all the music that you're coming through with right now, talk to the listeners about, how do you come about the new sound, and what was your inspiration, for your new single that we call Bad For Me?
I love doing music that is relatable. I thoroughly enjoy operating outside of the box. I'm an individual who likes to stand out. I don't believe in following the crowd. I like to, blaze my own path and walk it alone if need be. And when I came across Bad For Me, it was one of those things that, one, it was relatable for me in my life where I was at the time. And it was music that I appreciated. It has a classic sound, yes, but it has a fresh twist to it.
It definitely, when I heard it, it definitely rang off to me as like a fresh but retro Motown's kind of soulful, kind of happy vibe, kind of vibe. I'm like, okay, I like this. I like where she's going with this. I like where she's taking it.
And music is supposed to always stand out. When I listen to the soundscape right now of music, it's bland, it's ordinary. There's nothing that stands out. Everybody wants to sound like everybody else.
I agree.
Everybody wants to follow everybody else because in their mind, if I follow them, it's gonna lead me to the money. Huh. And what they fail to understand is that's not always the case. There's a reason why that person is making it happen, because they were one of the first, if not the first, to create that sound. Therefore, they're able to capitalize on it.
Absolutely.
After a while, it starts to get watered down, and there's no money to make from that. So you need to be innovative and creative.
Because you exhausted it. You ran it dry.
Exactly. And that's what they're doing. When you listen to the soundscape right now, the sound is exhausted. And it's exhausting to listen to the same tired individuals over and over again that lack talent.
You know what? One time for Adina Howard. Thank you for dropping that, man, because it's amazing. I've had this conversation actually with different demographics of ages. I've had this conversation with people in my age group, in my peer group, and I've had this conversation actually with younger age group as well. And depending, I guess, on who you're with, who you speak to, I mean, in my surroundings across the board, most of the people tell me one thing. They like, listen, Trane, today's music sounds like one big long ass song. It's like a never ending song that don't stop. I mean, please. And I'm so glad that you are
representing and bringing something fresh to the table. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, and you're very welcome. I grew up in an era where music was music.
Yes.
It wasn't just a sound. It was, it had instrumentation, it had vocalists,
Yes.
it had content, it had, a subject matter that people could relate to. I can't relate to Trap Queen, though I've never heard the song.
Absolutely.
But I've never been a trap queen, and I don't know too many females that are or have been, and if they were, they probably don't want to be it anymore because it seems like it's a dead-end occupation.
Yes.
Exactly. And it's just music back when it was relatable, and it addressed those issues that people were dealing with, or it helped divert your attention from the drama to something that helps you become more focused on something other than your troubles, your woes.
Exactly. Music, at the end of the day, it's supposed to
be an escape.
Right. It's supposed to mobilize, it's supposed to inspire, like you said, It's supposed to be an escapism for your mind, for your heart, for your mentality. And, now today's landscape of music does create a particular type of mobility, but it's all the same signal as opposed to the music that came out in from the 90s era, 80s, 70s, and so on and such, and a sprinkle of the early 2000s. It was the type of music that created the kind of sound and inspiration that sent out multiple signals to mobilize you to do multiple things. You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be a soldier on the street, you want to be a business dude, you want to be a whatever it is, multiple signals, a dancer, whatever it is you wanted to do, and of course, just like yourself, as for your main major first single, that really blazed the trail for and listen, something. Just to switch subject for a quick second, I actually had very recently, I checked out your documentary, and I got as I'm looking at the documentary, right, I'm checking the documentary, and there was a very basic message from the beginning of the documentary, and where it rang off, it was like a light bulb to me, and I'm like, wow. They're absolutely right. And what they were mentioning pretty much was the fact that from that particular era, you are the sole individual who had blazed the trail for the sexy and sassy and independent and confidently sexual, R&B diva, You have blazed the trail for individuals such as, the Little Kims, the Nickis, the Nicki Minaj's, the Rihanna's, I could honestly say only person before you was probably, what's my girl?
Millie Jackson.
Millie Jackson. Oh, yeah, Millie Jackson.
Yep.
So how does it feel to know that you have blazed the trail, for such an incredible genre of music?
I don't think about it. It was a job that was supposed to be done, and I did it. And if it's time to move forward and open other doors and blaze other trails for people to be able to walk through and to walk on, that was part of my purpose. It was my job. I'm not one of those people who talk about, well, I used to do this and I used to do that and I did this and I did that. You better check my stats, my resume. Right. That to me, it doesn't move me when I hear other people say it, and it doesn't move me if I were to hear myself to say it.
Exactly.
I just did what I was supposed to do, and now it's time to move forward.
Absolutely,
and
that's
open
right.
some more doors and blaze some more trails, and I'm grateful that I was able to be the vessel to make that happen.
Right.
So when it's all said and done, my thought about it is I'm grateful that I was chosen to be able to do that. Absolutely. And thank God that you have blazed the trail for that particular era, like you said, and now you're coming forth, expanding to new doors, and as creative human beings, this is actually what we're supposed to do. You're supposed to elevate, motivate, and expand yourself. And speaking of elevating and motivating and expanding yourself,
I understand that you have you got some culinary skills there. You are a certified chef. Talk to me about that. What's happening with that?
Yes, I have my degree in culinary arts. It was something that I deemed necessary because I believe in having control of my destiny, having control of where I choose to go and how I choose to get there. It's one thing to have God take the wheel, but sometimes the Lord's like, okay, I'm going to sit in the passenger seat and I'm going to let you drive to see if I was a good enough teacher to let you do it.
Okay, all right.
And with the opportunity to take a different direction and to get behind the wheel and steer my career, my life in another direction, culinary was what I chose to do. I love to feed people.
Very nice.
It's a passion of mine to put something on the inside of people that they can consume, not just through their ears, but their actual palate where they can taste it, touch it, smell it.
I'm hearing you.
You know, it's gratifying, and unless you are on this, in my shoes, you really honestly won't ever know how gratifying it is. It's something that moves me when I feed people.
Amazing. That is absolutely amazing. What if you can choose name, I won't put you on the super spot. Let's say somewhere in the top 5. What is one of your top 5 dishes that you love to cook up for the people?
That's like the $1 million question that people ask me. And my answer is always whatever that individual wants to eat.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you know what?
Because it's not about me. It's not because I don't eat.
Right.
It's very seldom that I cook for myself.
Okay, I got you.
You know, I have to taste the food to make sure that before I put it on a plate and put it in front of you, that it tastes right. But at the end of the day, what matters is if you receive it, if you like it, if you love it, and if you want to continue to consume it.
Right. Let's get back to your single for a second. Like I said, it's once I heard it, I understood. As soon as I heard it, it was pretty much a brand new sound you're bringing forth. It had kind of the Motown kind of 60s kind of up tempo feel. And as far as your fan base is concerned, which is collectively coming to you right now, I see they're gravitating to you with the single. How, in your opinion, how have the fans responded, to your new sound, and how have they responded? How have they gravitated to the new sound that you come with?
They love the new sound. They have definitely supported it. They have been going hard to make sure that it's out there, and they have purchased it and they share it with the world. And it's just one of those things that I have, and I think every artist probably says this about the people that support them. But I have some of the greatest individuals that love on me and share, my love for the music that I choose to do. Yes.
I am one of them. I told you, when
thank you.
Once again, shout to the brother AB. Like when we clicked at that festive event, and he told me who he was affiliated with, who he's managing. I wasted the time. I'm like, what? I'm like, please. That's a no-brainer. Please plug me in ASAP. I would love to have a conversation. I know that we call them interviews, but I like to call them conversations, actually. I'd love to have a conversation, with Adina, and he made it happen, So, moving on real quick, I understand that the lovely, sexy, and sassy Miss Adina Howard is happily married, huh?
Yes, I am.
That's a beautiful thing. God bless your union.
Thank you.
Great. That's great. So, so how is the marriage life, and how was that? How were you able to pretty much transition from? I guess the transition may have been more or less for your husband than you, but how was the transition from coming from the 90s era with songs like Freak Like Me and T-Shirt and Panties, and transitioning into the married life? How did that transition well for you guys?
Well, my husband and I dated when we were in our mid-20s, so he met me at the peak of my career.
Oh, wow.
Right.
He was starstruck, right? He was starstruck.
Well, the crazy part about this, our story is just crazy, because way back when, one of my baby sisters was actually, I guess, dating one of his homeboys. And this was like in like 89, 90. So he and I had actually met prior to, but we vaguely remember.
Okay.
But we ended up reconnecting and really officially meeting
Nice.
at the LAX airport.
Nice.
And he asked me about my sister. He was like, "You have a sister named, Clover, right?" And I said, "I do."
Mm-hmm.
And he asked about how she was doing and so on and so forth. And, we just, started a conversation. And it was the craziest thing because every time he and I would meet, it was always at the LAX airport.
Wow. Okay. So y'all both
Every single time that we met, it was
ships passing through the night. Y'all were traveling individuals on the go, making it happen.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So one day he was just like, "Look, let me give you my number." And he would just check up on me every blue moon. And I reached out to him and we dated for a little while and then we parted ways. In 13 years in between, he would just randomly say, "You know what, Adina, we need to quit playing and just go ahead and get married."
There
And
you
I would
go.
always
Good
say
man.
no.
There you go. He put the big boy boots on, huh?
Right.
There you go.
And I would always say no. And for 13 years, he heard no.
You know what?
One day, I just was like, a friend of mine, my best friend, she was like, "Adina, that's a good man. You better not let him get away.
Right.
You let him get away, we're going to have problems."
Right.
And I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina at the time, and I thought about what she said.
Shout out to
She
Charlotte.
was going hard for him. Oh, I love the Queen City. She was going hard for him, and I picked up the phone, and I was headed back to Charlotte, and I was on a plane. He happened to pick up the phone while I was on the plane. I said, "I have a question for you." He was like, "What's that?" I said, "Do you still want to marry me?" He said, "Absolutely." I said, "Okay, well, let's do it then." He was like, "All right."
I know he was like, "Duh, you think?"
No, well, what he thought was, he said she must have been drinking.
He thought she was joking. He thought she was gassing.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right, he did. And then when he realized I was for real, then it was like, "Oh, okay,
right."
Cool. And we moved forward. And the transition was interesting for both of us.
Okay.
Because I had been single. I had more situations than relationships. Because commitment for me was not something that I enjoyed. Temporary stuff always worked for me, and long distance always works for me.
Oh wow!
So the transition for me was, what'd you say?
That's interesting because I know a lot of people in that world, who attempt to do long distance relationships. Unfortunately, it's an overwhelming amount of individuals who fail at that. But you guys pulled it off, man. So shout out and big up to y'all,
man. This is the situation. For me, it was this was prior to him.
Okay.
Because I was a saboteur. I would sabotage relationships left and right because I knew I really didn't want to be with you long run and to begin with. So
okay.
Long distance was perfect for me.
Right.
And the commitment part for me was very interesting because I had to uncondition the conditioning. And then I had to recondition myself to do right by this man who is a better than good man. And then he had to go through some reconditioning because of some of the habits and conditioning that took place in his life over the years of being single and so on and so forth. What people have to understand is just because you get married doesn't mean it's going to fix everything.
No, it doesn't.
It's going to take years
you
to get it together because if you've been single for over 20 years and then you decide to get married and this person has been single for who knows how long they've been single and they've been able to be doing as they choose.
Right. That's a transition. That is a hard transition for any individual who thinks in that pretty much that mentality. It's a difficult thing. It certainly is.
Yeah, you have to be mentally ready, physically ready, emotionally ready.
You do.
You have to fight because you still have that single mentality of I can just get up and roll out. And it's like, no, you gave your word that you would commit. Therefore, you need to do everything that you're supposed to do to make it happen.
That's right.
It don't change overnight.
No.
You had 20 plus years of being single, so how do you expect 1 year of marriage or 6 months of marriage or 2 or 3 years of marriage that all of a sudden you're gonna wake up and everything is gonna be the way that it's supposed to be?
No, that's very unrealistic. But the main thing is that you hung in there, You pulled it
Oh,
off.
absolutely.
You know, and you guys, like, you know, through the transition, through the heartbreaks, joy and pain, sunshine and rain, you guys remain a union, man. You know, matter of fact, while we're on the subject, shout out to Hubby Hub. Shout out to Hubby Hub real quick, man. Shout out there, brother. Shout out there, brother.
Yeah,
you have one of the most incredible, beautiful, and talented individuals that everybody in my era wanted to marry.
Trust me, I done been a baby mama. I've been somebody's wife, girlfriend, fiance.
I done heard that.
I am a godmother to many.
There you go.
A sister, a cousin, an aunt. Look.
Beautiful.
The world has taken me on it as in some way, shape, form, or fashion, and I'm cool with that.
That's right. That's how it's supposed to be. So talk to me real quick. I understand that. Are you you're running? You are part of, or you actually running a independent company, an independent label? Is that correct?
I am running an independent company.
Excellent. What's the name of the company and the label?
I can't even think. I'm listening to you. Indelible Enterprises.
Nice.
And so Indelible actually is an entertainment company, and I happen to say, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and release my music, you know, under Indelible.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. Okay, and as far as the label is concerned, you know, what type of challenges do you have to go through in order to make a song work, to make to break a song, to break a song and get it, you know, whether it's underground or mainstream? What type of challenges, very briefly, do you have to go through? What type of hurdles you got to deal with to make that happen for yourself as the independent?
Well, first of all, you said it correct, because it's one thing to make a record, it's another thing to break one.
Exactly.
And the challenge,
very different.
The challenge, apples and bananas all day long. The challenge of it is the connections, the relationship, the financial aspect of it, because people don't understand that it takes money to get a record played on the radio. In order to break a record, you have to have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to make it happen. And when you're talking about regular radio, traditional radio,
that's a beast within itself, boy.
Yes, it is. Woo. And it takes an incredible amount of money.
Yes, indeed.
To make things happen. But on top of that, people have to understand it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you and has respect for you, right, and will go to bat for you.
Right. It's beyond necessarily who you know, but it's like who wants to help you.
Right.
And
exactly.
why? Then why should
exactly. Right.
That's the era we're in right now.
Yeah, and while money does talk, you know, to bond it with a relationship works even better.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's not easy, because granted, we have internet radio, satellite radio, YouTube, and Facebook, and all of this other stuff. While that is great, you still cannot discount old school. No. You cannot discount the traditional way of how things have been done and how things are still being done. It's the blueprint of how things set off in the industry to begin with. That like nothing happens without that. Then you get into, you know, your social media and different marketing tools and so on and such. But it must start at ground zero, and the ground zero way is to do basic. You know, you do your footwork, make your phone calls, do word of mouth. You know, establish relationships. Establish relationships, and the most important thing is to connect with your audience. Speaking of that, connecting with your audience, performances, shows. I know you probably have some coming up. Talk to us about any shows and performances that you may have coming up. I actually have a few shows coming up. Nice. We have a show in Meridian, Mississippi, February 12th. Nice. I was out there about a year ago, actually. Were you now? They rock out there. No, little do they know, they get it popping out there. Trust me. The South is amazing. Yeah. The South is unfortunately, yet fortunately for me, neglected in the sense that everybody wants to go to the big city. Yeah. And they always miss the B and C market. Yes. So they don't really get a whole lot. So when you do show up, they show out. Exactly. And they're very supportive.
Oh, yeah.
So February 12th, Meridian, Mississippi. We're actually working on one for February 13th. And then I'm in Cleveland, Ohio for sure for Valentine's Day.
Shout out to Cleveland, Ohio. That's the birthplace of my wife. My wife is from Cleveland, Ohio.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Midwest is everything. I'm from the Midwest, so I'm biased.
Oh,
I love the Midwest.
Okay, all right. That we show that Midwest love. We'll give it up. We give it up. Matter of fact,
you got to.
While I'm at it, I shout out to my man DJ Dokes. He's from out there in Cleveland, Ohio. Also, my man DJ Dokes. That's one of my childhood friends. That's my boy right there. Yeah. So let's get into a few more things real quick. Give us some of your. Let the audience and the listeners know some of your major outlets as far as your social media handles. Like, how can we reach you, contact you, conversate with you, vibe with you on the social media handles?
We have Twitter at Adina Howard, Facebook, Adina Howard fan page, YouTube, Adina Howard page, AdinaHoward.com, my website.
Nice.
Snapchat is at Adina Howard, and Instagram is The Real Adina Howard Jordan, and it's THE, not DA. The Real Adina Howard Jordan.
Y'all heard that, y'all. Y'all heard that. Let it be known. All right, my man Coach K is in the building. He put up your website right now. He got you on check already.
Nice. And then they can follow me on Periscope as well.
Oh, okay.
Adina Howard.
Very nice. Periscope. Yeah, periscope.com. Yeah, my PR people's been trying to Roslyn L. Shout to Roslyn L. She's been trying to get me to go to Periscope for a minute. I'm eventually get on. I'm kind of fighting it right now, but I'm eventually get on because it does a lot.
But I use it. One of the reasons why I like Periscope is because the interaction is in real time. So you can communicate with individuals and they can ask you 50-11 questions while you're on there.
While you're on there doing
But what's so interesting about the internet nowadays are the quote-unquote trolls, the people who just have nothing better to do with themselves to try to make their life miserable. Yeah.
I
love them. I do.
Fuel.
I love them.
They are fuel for entertainment.
They are, and it's one of those things because one of the reasons why I love them, they make me laugh, but they also motivate me to just bless them. I will rebuke them in a heartbeat. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. We're going to hold you up to the light.
Right.
And make sure you get your mind and your heart right, because that right there, I don't know what's going on with you, but need to go ahead and purge that from your system.
Exactly.
They were like, oh, you're so nice. Yes. You ain't about to mess up my day. I don't let the enemy steal my joy.
No, you can never have. You can never have that. Never have that. You
can't steal nothing from me if I'm willing to get. If I get so upset that I give it to you.
Well, if it's appointed from the Most High by you, then can nothing on earth break or shake that at all. So never worry about that.
There you go. There you go.
Absolutely. So we're going to really real quick, we're going to get into your brand new single called Bad For Me. But before we do that, would you like to give any announcements, any shout outs, to your peoples or anything you want to just let the people know about? Just go ahead. The floor is yours, lady.
I just want everyone who has ever been there to support me. I want them to know that you are appreciated. Your loyalty, your devotion, your support has not gone unnoticed. And because you have been by my side through the thick of the thick and the thin of the thin and have constantly been asking me for new music,
right,
you're finally going to get a new project.
Sounds great, man. Well, once again, to all the listeners on WHLR Hotline Radio, Trane is hitting you with the brand new single from the lovely, sexy and sassy Adina Howard. We call this one Bad For Me. Miss Adina Howard, once again, thank you so much for taking your time out your schedule, out your life to tune in and check in to Trane and the Time Travel Mix Show. I truly appreciate that, my dear. Truly.
So welcome, and thank you for your time, energy, and for sharing time and space with me. I'm truly grateful.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, check this out. One time for your mind. This is the new single from Adina Howard. We call this one Bad For Me. Let's go.